boys. Phew-wee. This morning, I made a trade. That was a good trade going into it. It was a good trade overall until the end. Until I almost lost a lot of money. Until I just didn't do what I should have done, or I turned into a bit of a gambler and I gambled on this trade here. The idea of it going back down. You're going to see that trade here in a second, talking about this trade this morning, talking about overall, what I was looking at, what was going on, and all of that fun stuff right here on the number one undisputed day trading channel on YouTube. Let's go. All right, so this morning we got ADVM with the big gap down. It's down 34% right now, and it's kind of getting held up there at the $8 area right now, and just kind of watching to see what happens at this 840 area. If we can get that 840 area to hold it down, to get short into that. On the 5-minute chart, you can see we've got some resistance coming up there as well, kind of at that 840, 850 area. So I'm just kind of sitting back and watching, looking for a bit of a spike here and kind of a denial for an entry. So I don't want to get short right here as we're kind of riding that EMA, as we're kind of at that support area there at the $8 right now. So I'm going to be waiting for a nice little spike here, get overextended, and then look for an entry at that point. So I want to see a nice big green candle kind of pushing up into that resistance there at the 840 area. Give me some wiggle room there. Give me some padding on this trade before jumping in there. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm waiting for. We're going to see if we get it here in a second. Trying to see what happens here. You can see kind of that overall trend right now. We're trending higher, but we're seeing if we get the breakdown. Do we get a breakdown right here? And then we start to trend back down from there. So just got to let this one unfold right now at that kind of area where, jumping in right now, maybe I don't want to be jumping in right here, right now. Need to give it a little bit of time to kind of figure out which way it wants to go. All right, so now I'm going to look for basically a push kind of back up into that 780 area to get short. So we push back up here to $8 now. So push back up there to $8 now. And looking for that $8 area to act as a resistance, hold this down. $8 holding it down right here. Bit of a spread. Got some volume coming in there, but just not being able to push through that $8, so that's a good sign. $8 still holding it down here, but just kind of got my finger on the trigger to get out of this if this breaks back above $8. All right, so we're getting a bit of a... All right, so we just had a nice little pop up there, that 840 area we talked about earlier, kind of watching that area. And now we're still... I'm looking for this dump, baby. The dump's going to come. I got a good feeling here. We're just looking for this to start to sell back down. As soon as this popped up, it was just sold into. So really looking for this to just start to get murdered and dump out here into the 760s. I'm going to take some right there at 775. Or, when you get to 775. But I'm going to take some right there, 500, just to lock that down. Getting a little bit of volatility going into the market open here. Still got 400 shares left. And still with the same game plan, kind of watching the $8 area. And I'd like to see this sell off here and dip down some more. Just not really liking how this is holding right now, to be honest with you. So I'm going to be looking possibly to get covered here. Spiking back up here. Let's see if I can get short again. If this pushes up there, 820s. Or even higher here. So 830 getting filled. If there's a drop back below $8. So I was looking for ADVM to get stuck here at the 840 area, kind of like it's doing right now, and then start to sell off here at open and give us a nice little drop here. So covering down here below $8 now. Looking for, I'm gonna take it right there. What a whirlwind of a day. What a whirlwind of a day. Now, one thing that I want to make very clear here is that this was by far not a good trade. Well, it would have been a good trade, but I think really what happened was I just basically got short pre-market, and then I was sitting here. This whole little run-up right here was kind of expecting some type of little bit of a run-up there into open. But we also kind of had that $9 area, that resistance kind of coming up there. On the 5-minute chart, we got some resistance ahead of it. So should I have cut this off much sooner? Yes. I should have cut this off at the 840 area, but seeing that we were in pre-market, seeing that we were going into the open there, it's basically like, how to make that choice there. How to make the choice. Was it the right choice? No. Was it a bit of a gamble? Yes. But in the past, from my previous experiences, we've seen this happen, multiple times where we get this little run up in the open, and then at open we get that big sell off, and that's what I was betting on. That was basically a lot of gambling on this last part of the trade. The beginning of the trade, shorting in here, doing all this, I felt overall was a pretty good trade. But basically letting this run up like it did, let it run up that $9 area, that was a lot of just me basically gambling on the fact that in the past I've seen this happen multiple times before, where the stock spikes into open and then just gets crushed there at into open and then gets crushed once the actual market opens. So that by no means was a beautiful trade. By no means am I claiming this to be a beautiful trade. It could have been a massive loss. And, that's just something that I have to live with sometimes. That's what I've got to basically live with here. And you can see making $213 here. It could have been much worse. Like I said, this is not me bragging. This is not me telling you should do what I did. This was just purely based off experience and kind of having this happen to me in the past. So that's one thing that I want to make very clear here. I do not want you guys sitting here and thinking like, oh, man, he's claiming this to be a good trade. This was a good trade below 840. 840 was a good trade. Going into open and having this spike here, not so much. So there it is. If you guys haven't already, do me one big favor. Hit that subscribe button. We're doing it right here. ADVM, showing you guys the trade, showing you guys the action. So far this morning, not much else looking good for me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of close it out right there. SINT kind of looking like it's doing something up there to the $3 area right now. Kind of popping around there. We'll see if this is going to do something later on. But for now, we're just going to sit back here.